So what is up, guys? You got your boy Stingren here today, and today we are back with some reverse 1999 content, and today we're going to be talking about Black Dwarf. Now, if you guys don't know, Global flipped the banners around for patch 1.3. It should have been Shemaine first. Shemaine should have been the unit that was gonna release with 1.3, but they decided to flip that around. So that means it's now going to be Black Dwarf first as the new releasing character for her, which is interesting. I didn't really expect for them to do that, but now it kind of just throws the videos I had pre-recorded in a bit, I guess, a little bit of a delayed state. But anyway, let's talk about it. So Black Dwarf is a mental mineral damage character. She is essentially our mental mineral damage carrier. That's hard to say for me for some reason. You know, brain's not working right now. Anyway, so she is basically the carry to mineral for mental teams, like how Eternity is for reality teams. And we will be talking about the comparisons between her and Eternity as well. So let's go and talk about her skills. So first things first is her skill is Singular Perfection, which is the ultimate. It is a one target attack that removes all planets and deals 600% mental damage and gains 2 stacks of the full moon. And full moon has an effect of 6% skill power bonus for each stack, and planets caps are at 3. Now, one thing you have to know about Black Dwarf as we read more into the skills, she basically has a hard cap of 3, and every single planet she can gather counts as its hard counter. So that means for a stack counter total of 3, right? That means she can have any of total of 3 of moons. So she has Saturn, she has the full moon, and she has Mars. So she can't have 3 Saturn, 3 full moon, 3 Mars. She can only have 3 total of the 3 moons. So she can have anywhere between 2 full moons, one Saturn, 2 full moons, one Saturn. You can have 3 Saturn, you can have 3 Mars. You know, it's basically that. It's one of each. You can technically do it like that, but that's just how her stack works. So figuring out really just what you need as an extra bonus is always really the cool thing about Black Dwarf. But we'll talk about why this actually becomes a bit of an issue a little bit later, but we'll talk about that. Anyway, I was going to talk about her skill 1, Enchanted Strike, which for a maximum of 450% mental damage, she will gain 3 stacks of Saturn, and Saturn giving her 6% penetration rate for each stack, which is a total of 18% penetration rate, which is nice. And then Mythical Meteors, which will be a max of 235% mental damage for 2 enemies and gain 3 stacks of Mars, which is a max of 18% leech rate for max stacks, of course. And of course, planet caps are at 3. So yeah. Now the cool thing really about this is, until she pops her ultimate, she's removing all the planets, and she grants the 2 stacks anyway. You can get the extra bonuses of the Mythical Meteors and the Enchanted Strike fairly early in, but that's kind of the only thing you can do until she starts ulting. Because once you start ulting, then she really just becomes 2 stacks of full moon, which makes for a bit of a complication in terms of kind of wanting to utilize the moons for the extra bonuses. Now, it's not like it's bad, because full moon bonuses are good because it's skill power buff. I mean, that's gonna add on to her DPS. So I don't think it's really anything actively wrong, but if you wanted to have extra utility from herself, like the extra penetration rate to hit a little harder, or the extra leech rate to keep herself topped up from healing, then, or healing with her own damage, so to speak, then you do lose out on that because of the ultimate. That's the thing. And these planets aren't removable, I believe. The only way you get the planets to be removed is by using the ultimate, or if you overlap the moons. So if you have for example 2 stacks of full moon, and then you try to do multiple stacks of Saturn, then one of the full moons will fall off and then get another Saturn. So I do believe that's how that works in total. So there's that. So you can kind of maneuver around it and have a little bit of flexibility there, but of course it's just kind of setting it up to where you need the extra bonuses and stuff like that. Anyway, let's talk about her insight. So when a planet is removed, this technically applies to both her skills and the ultimate. She will gain 1 stack of Saturn Divination, Mars Divination, or Full Moon Divination, depending on the type. So the divination effects are essentially a double of, well, effectively a +2 effect of the standard of the moons. So Saturn is going to be a +12 penetration rate, which you'll see right here. Mars is a +12% leech rate, and Full Moon Divination is a 12% skill power buff. So basically, you get that for the attacks while she has it there, which is not bad. I mean, that's not bad at all. Of course, it will be removed once she uses skills to overlap the moons, but it's just an extra boost of power whenever she pops her ultimate. Insight 2 is crit rate plus 10%, and Insight 3. Insight 3 gives her whenever she casts the ult, I don't know why I couldn't read. After the caster uses their ultimate, gets 1 effect based around the removed planet. If Saturn is the most removed planet, immediately cast Enchanted Strike at the rank corresponding to the Saturn to the Saturn moon. And if Mars is the most removed planet, cast Mythical Meteor identical to the rank of what is removed. And if Full Moon is the most removed planet, immediately gains skill incantation 2 for 1 to 2 turns for each of the full moons removed. So what this means is she basically gets a follow-up effect every single time she pops ultimate based on the total amount of moons that she has. So for example, if you do the ultimate with 3 stacks of Saturn, then you get a tier 3 free cast of this attack immediately following the ultimate, which is really good because there's no nerf in the modifier. It's literally just casting it as if you selected a level 3 version of the skill. You don't get the Moxie, I believe, for it, but you still get the damage, and that is very good. That's what makes Black Dwarf such a strong and potent DPS, because even at P0, you still get 3 planets and you can cycle around them as you see fit, and then you can really just maneuver yourself, depending on the type of cards that you choose, to get a strong attack off. This is really good because you can freely choose. You can really just build up using her skill 1 to have the most amount of the single target moons if you're going against a single target boss, and you can just keep using Saturn, and then when you get to ultimate, you can just do that. Then you get the tier 3 cast of the Enchanted Strike right after it, which is good. That's very good. So I do like the fact that you do have the flexibility to choose, you have the flexibility to build as you see. So that's that. Even with the ultimate, if you're fighting like multiple enemies, for example, you can ult 1 enemy, maybe the boss even, and then allow her to do mythical meteors just to have a little extra AoE control hitting the mobs down, which is again good. That's very good, and I do 100% like that. I think that is a huge dub in terms of how Black Dwarf's kit is designed. So again, if you want my honest recommendation, since I've talked so highly about i3, I think you can kind of take a guess to say, yes, I recommend her at i3. i3 level 30 is where you ideally want to stop. Resident 10, because she is your mineral DPS carry, and because you want to have their resonance as high as you can. I don't really indulge in having resonance 15. Even if you can do that, I don't think you should, and I think that's a huge resource dump, so I don't think you should. But resonance 10 is definitely enough. So it's going to talk about her recommended cubes. First thing is going to be Hopscotch. Hopscotch is recommended because of the ultimate damage effect of what it gets. So every single time she defeats an enemy, she gets ultimate might plus 4%, a max of 16. But of course, if you have it up to a level 5, then you have a maximum of 32%, which of course 16% is still well and great. And Hopscotch provides a bonus of incantation might plus 18%, which of course is going to buff up her skills. So again, that works really good because not only are you amplifying the damage of your ultimate, you're then also allowing your incantations to hit a little harder, which is what she's going to be following with anyway. That's why I do think Hopscotch is pretty good for her. But another really good option is the opposite of that, which is Brave New World. Brave New World is essentially kind of the same thing, but it's a little bit more of an immediate effect where she casting the ultimate and the incantation mode, her next skill is boosted by 20, max of 40, and then this one gets ultimate by might boost instead. I do think Hopscotch is a little bit better over time, but Brave New World is good if you want the immediate boost instead of just having to build up. I think Brave New World works better if you're also going against just like a boss enemy with no mobs. If you have no way of amplifying the damage boost with this, then I would just say go this, because that's technically stronger of an ultimate might boost. This is 18% at max. This is boost 16 if you're able to get the stacks up to 4. So I would just say go Brave New World if you do run into a situation where you're just fighting one enemy and you don't have to worry about no mobs, no add-ons or anything. But if you're going against something with add-ons, especially ones that spawn, then Hopscotch is 100% a much better option, because you can quickly build up to that 4 without being the main carry of the team. Next up is going to be a 5-star recommended option. This is going to be the budget-friendly option, which is Footloose. Footloose has the ability to give you just straight up damage up if you're above 80%. I mean, if you're above 50% HP. That's really just it. And also has ultimate might as a bonus, so there's that. Next up is going to be the healer of choice, which is going to be Bloom Party. Now, the way I want to position these videos going forward, since there's, you know, characters that are actively in the pool that don't exist, like certain 6 stars, like not Bloom Party, like Two Fairy Pickles, etc, Monalia, I won't recommend them in this video, because we don't know if you, the viewer, have these units. If you have these units, I will say their names, but if you don't have them, then don't feel like you just can't run that character. So that's why I'm typically giving her like more free, flexible options, like for characters that work for everybody. You know, it doesn't really matter who. It's just more so units that you can potentially get in the banner, even as an off banner or while you're putting in general. So that's what I'm saying here. That's why I'm recommending more, you know, characters that's existing as opposed to non-existing. But I will mention the premium characters if you do have them. Like for example, with Bloom Party, if you have Two Fairy, then that is a much better option. Two Fairy is better because Two Fairy has the ability to provide a critical resist down, which goes very well with Black Dwarf's ability to have a critical rate of 10% boost. So that could actually help with critting. That's just kind of like a niche thing. There's not really anything in particular where that works out for the best. But Bloom Party is still a fine healer. The only thing that does suck about Bloom Party is that she only heals based on HP loss, which is a little bit annoying because sometimes you want to just heal just to stay in a safe range. And if you don't have a lot of HP loss, then that heal doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of just there to be there. Next up is Anali. Anali is always the best option for any, you know, AP hungry DPS, always, because of Lily Nectar. That's a thing. But if you have Pickles is also a really good candidate here because he has this spell and he also gives the damage up bonus effect with his ultimate, and you can build up to it fairly quickly because of how he works. Next up is going to be the 5-star recommended debuffer. That's going to be Baby Blue. Baby Blue is always recommended because she is a mental shredder. She has the highest mental shred in the game, being 35% at max rank, which is only single target. In Black Dwarf's case, this is actually fine because Black Dwarf's most of her damage comes from single target attacks. So you don't directly need to have the AoE shred, but of course if you need it for, depending on the content that you fight, it could be helpful. But she still does have mass damage taken, minus 25% and 25% damage taken as an active bonus effect as well. But really you want to just be able to put the mental damage on the big target that you're focusing down with Black Dwarf. Next up is going to be the future released 1.3 character who technically should have been first, and that's Shemaine. Now I'm recommending him because since he is going to be coming out soon, I might as well throw him in there. He's in this patch and I have to make a video talking about him. But he is here because he does the same thing as Baby Blue, but it's just kind of just more fit into one one skill, and it's AoE. It's still the same, well, it's not the same, it's a reality mental shred, but it's not as potent as theirs. Theirs is 35 max, his is 15 max, but he does have the damage taken effect. It basically combines both of Baby Blue's skills into one skill, and it's AoE. It's just slightly weaker, and that's it. That's really just the only difference that you have there, is that one is slightly weaker than another one, which is, for what it's worth, I still do say Shemaine is a little bit better because he can also sub DPS, while Baby Blue really isn't DPSing at all. So here's that. And then we're going to be talking about how Black Dwarf compares to someone like Eternity. So Eternity is, of course, a standard 6-star character who is our main reality carry for the reality mental teams. I will just say right here, Black Dwarf 100% beats Eternity easily. Even before we would start talking about the portraits of Black Dwarf, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. The big reason why is because Eternity just doesn't have as much firepower. Even with her self buff, she's still good. Don't get me wrong, Eternity's still fine. It's just once you really see the direct power between her and Black Dwarf, especially in a boss setting, that's when it really starts to show that she can really just do a lot of damage. Of course, Black Dwarf having the native advantage of her having a follow-up effect on her ultimate, like there's not really too many options there that really allows for Eternity to be like better than her. The only thing I would say Eternity is better at is self-sustain, and that's it. But if you're looking for in terms of damage, I would definitely say that Black Dwarf is 100% better. Of course, you can still use Eternity if the boss happens to have higher mental defense than reality defense for better damage over time. But that's really just it. But for the most part, Black Dwarf is 100% better. So yeah, I don't really have to explain too much. It's really just the only thing that Eternity has over Black Dwarf is sustainability. That's it, because of her Blood of Immortality effect, which is a thing. Next up is going to be the portraits. Now, the portraits are interesting. They're very good. A lot of her portraits are actually very good. P1 I think is a good stopping point even for free to play, because what this does is it gives her a 4th planet, which allows her to be a little bit more aggressive. And since there's no hard stack effect, like for example, just like for max of like for example, leech rate, it's 6% for each stack. It's not for a max of 2 or max of 3. So that means this effectively makes the effect even more stronger. This can then become a 24% leech rate if you had 4 stacks of Mars. This becomes a 24% of penetration rate. And then I don't think you can even get 4 stacks of full moon, but I think you can get a max of 3, which could still give you the 24% because of the divination effect. But still, having a 24% boost on your moons is pretty strong, dude. That's really strong. And if you even just want to get more power, take her to P2, which then whenever she gets her ultimate, she gets 3 stacks of full moon instead, which means she gets 18% skill power up. And if she gets a divination of the full moon, then that's what, 18 plus 12, that's 30% effectively. That's a 30% power up, which is kind of dumb. And what happens is, if the number of full moon stacks removed by singular perfection is 3 or more, then she gets the extra effect for an extra round, which is the random incantations are boosted by 1 star from the full moons being removed, which is really good. That's really good. I do think P2 is kind of like where you might stop. For free to play, I maybe say try for P1. Maybe try for P1. If you get her at P0 and your resources are fairly low and you're saving for another character, then stop at P0, because P0 is fine. But if you want to get that extra like 6% boost, maybe go P1. For me, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go P1, because I do want Shemaine as well. And I do want to be able to have the resources available to temper that. It really just depends on how the summons go. Like if I pull BD in 1 multi, for example, then yeah, I'd be more inclined to try for P1. But if I don't and I go to like 60 for pity or something, then I would just take the P0 and be fine with it, because again, she's totally fine at P0. She still has all the tools you need to be a successful carry. So there's that. And of course, the final question of the video: should you pull for her? I mean, if you haven't seen it by now, yeah, you should. You should 100% pull for her. She is 100% way better than Eternity. She is a very strong carry. She's still one of the strongest carries in the game. So I do think she is 100% a worthwhile investment for you as a player of the game. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. Make sure you guys like, you comment, and you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.